In the neon-drenched canyons of Xylos, a city built in the bones of a dead god, hope was a currency scarcer than breathable air. For former Sergeant Jax, a human running from the ghosts of a war he was never meant to survive, disappearing was the only goal. He was just another ghost in a city of millions, his past a weight he carried in the stoop of his shoulders and the 7 scars that mapped his skin. Each one a story he tried to drink away. Each one a failure he couldn't forget. But in a galaxy that never forgets, some ghosts refuse to stay buried. The rain on Xylos doesn't fall. It seeps from the perpetually gray sky, a chemical drizzle that makes the holographic advertisements bleed color down the sides of chrome spires. This runoff cascades into the lower sectors, the city's gut, where Jax called home. The air was thick with the smell of fried mycelium, ozone, and a dozen alien species packed into a concrete labyrinth. He navigated the crowded walkways with the practiced anonymity of a predator trying to forget its teeth. 15 years in the Terran Shock Infantry had taught him one thing. You don't get involved. You see nothing. You hear nothing. You are nothing. It was the only way to stay sane when the screams of his fallen squad still echoed in his quietest moments. But tonight, that lesson would be tested. A whimper, small and sharp, cut through the din of the market. It was a sound of pure terror, a note so clear it pierced through his self-imposed fog. Jax's combat-honed instincts, long suppressed by cheap synth ale and apathy, screamed to life. He froze, his hand hovering near the worn grip of the kinetic pistol hidden beneath his coat. Down a narrow alley, illuminated by the flickering sign of a forgotten noodle bar, he saw them. 4 hulking Cathar mercenaries, their reptilian hides glistening in the rain, had cornered a child. She was tiny, a Zelaran, with skin the color of twilight and eyes like twin silver moons. She couldn't have been more than a few cycles old, clutching a small, worn datapad to her chest. The Cathar were laughing, a guttural, cruel sound. "Boss wants the trinket." The lead Cathar growled, its voice like rocks grinding together, as it reached a clawed hand for the child. "Give it, and we might let you keep your skin." Jax sighed, the sound lost in the city's hum. His jaw tightened. He'd seen this scene 100 times in 100 forgotten war zones. He had walked away. He had followed his orders. He had survived. But looking at the sheer terror in those silver eyes, had he really run this far just to watch a monster prey on a child? What's one more ghost in a city full of them? "Hey!" Jax called out, his voice a low rumble of gravel and disuse. The authority in it, however, was unmistakable, a commander's tone that hadn't been used in years. "Her business with you is concluded." The 4 mercenaries turned as one, their flat, snake-like eyes fixing on the lone human. They saw a man, weathered and worn. They saw easy prey. Their threat assessment software would have flagged him as a non-entity, a piece of human driftwood. They didn't see the predator he had once been. The leader hissed a laugh. "Human. You bleed just like everything else. This is syndicate business. Walk away." Jax didn't walk away. He stepped into the flickering light of the alley. "I've bled for worse causes. She leaves. You don't." The fight was a blur of brutal, desperate efficiency. He moved not with grace, but with a jarring economy of motion designed to cripple and kill. As the first Cathar lunged, Jax sidestepped, driving an elbow into its throat. The alien dropped, gasping. The second came at him with a humming vibroblade. Jax parried the strike with his forearm, the reinforced fabric of his coat groaning, and used the alien's momentum to guide its own blade into the gut of the third. But they were still too many, and he was years out of practice. The 4th mercenary's blade sliced across his back, tearing through jacket and flesh. Pain, sharp and electric, flared across his nerves. He grunted, spinning inside the attack and driving his boot into the creature's knee with a sickening crack. Another blade, wielded by the recovering 3rd Cathar, sank deep into his side. He ignored it, the adrenaline a familiar fire in his veins. He fought through the haze, a whirlwind of fists, elbows, and raw human fury. He took a 3rd wound, then a 4th, consciously positioning his body as a living shield between the attackers and the child. He felt the cold shock of steel 5, 6, 7 times, each one a memory of a past failure, a past scar. The leader, the last one standing, roared in fury. It ignored Jax, its eyes locked on the prize. It lunged, blade aimed for the child's throat. Jax didn't hesitate. He met the charge, his only thought to cover the small frame behind him. He caught the blade with his own body. The 8th stab. It sank deep into his chest, a white-hot nova of agony that stole his breath. With the last of his strength, he grabbed the Cathar's head and slammed it into the brick wall with a final, definitive crunch. Silence descended on the alley, broken only by the patter of rain and Jax's ragged breathing. He stood, swaying, a ruin of a man held up only by sheer will. He looked down, a grim curiosity on his face. 8 wounds. 8. That had to be a new record, right? He turned to the child who stared at him, her silver eyes wide not with terror, but with something else. Awe. He tried to offer a reassuring smile, but it turned into a grimace as blood filled his mouth. The world tilted, the neon lights smearing into a kaleidoscope of color. The last thing he saw before the darkness claimed him was the child's small hand reaching for his. A strange, intricate pendant around her neck pulsing with a soft, ethereal light. Consciousness returned not gradually, but like a switch being flipped. Jax's eyes snapped open, his body tensing for a fight that was already over. He wasn't in the alley. He was in his own bed, in his sparse, sterile apartment. The room smelled of ozone and antiseptic. He sat up, expecting a symphony of agony. There was nothing. He patted his torso, his back, his arms. He was shirtless. He looked down. His chest, his abdomen, they were bare. The 7 old scars from his military career were there, faint white lines against his skin. But the 8 new wounds, the ones that should have killed him, were gone. Not a cut. Not a bruise. Not even a trace. What the hell? He whispered, his voice hoarse. Had he dreamed it? Number. The memory of the pain, the child's face. It was too real. He swung his legs out of bed. His clothes were folded neatly on a chair, washed and repaired. His kinetic pistol was on his nightstand, fully charged. This was too clean, too perfect. A soft chime echoed from his front door. Jax was on his feet in an instant, his mind racing. Who knew where he lived? How did he get here? He grabbed the heavy pistol. The chime sounded again, patient but firm. He moved to the door, his bare feet silent on the cold floor, and peered at the security monitor. His blood ran cold. Standing outside were 6 of the most intimidating figures he had ever seen. They were Azurian royal praetorians, clad in gleaming obsidian armor, their faces hidden behind impassive helmets. Their pulse rifles were held at a ceremonial yet ready position. These weren't mercenaries or thugs. This was the personal guard of the Azurian Empress herself. And standing between them was a woman of impossible grace, her skin a regal shade of lavender, her eyes the color of molten gold. And beside her, holding her hand, was the little Zealerin girl. Cleaned up, her twilight skin now glowed, and she wore a simple but elegant silver dress. The pendant he remembered was tucked neatly at her collar. This makes no sense. Why would royalty be at the door of a human washout in the dregs of the galaxy? With no good options, he opened the door. The regal woman's golden eyes swept over him, her expression unreadable. "Sergeant Jax," she said, her voice a melody with an undercurrent of steel. "Formerly of the Terran Shock Infantry, designation 734. It is a pleasure to finally meet the man my daughter calls the Unbroken." Jax's grip on his pistol tightened. "You have the wrong man. My name is Smith." The little girl stepped forward, her silver eyes fixed on his chest. "No, we don't. I saw them stab you 8 times, but the 8th scar isn't there." The woman knelt, placing a gentle hand on the child's shoulder. "My daughter Lyra is observant. I am Lady Kaelin, and this is Princess Lyra of the Azurian Ascendancy." Jax felt the floor drop out from under him. He hadn't just saved a child. He'd saved a princess. "Your wounds." Lady Kaelin continued, rising to her full, imposing height. "We're healed by the princess's regenerative amulet, a royal heirloom, an act of gratitude for saving her life." She paused, her gaze becoming serious. "An act which has also, unfortunately, signed your death warrant. The mercenaries you dispatched were agents of the Void Vultures Syndicate. And now that you have interfered, Boss Vorlag has placed a bounty on your head so large it would make a planetary governor blush. Every assassin, mercenary, and bounty hunter from here to the galactic core will be coming for you." She locked her eyes with his, a silent challenge passing between them. "You are a ghost, Sergeant. But you have just screamed your name from the rooftops. You cannot run, and you cannot hide. Not alone." Fear was a foreign concept to Jax, but the cold, calculated reality of his situation was a feeling he knew well. He was a dead man walking. The Void Vultures didn't leave loose ends. He weighed his options. A short, brutal life on the run, or whatever this was. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice flat. "We are offering you a choice," Lady Kaelin stated. "A chance. I need a guardian for my daughter. Someone the Vultures won't see coming. Someone who has already proven they will bleed for her without hesitation. My own people are logical. They would have calculated the odds and retreated. Your very human recklessness is a quality I find valuable. A job. A suicide mission disguised as a job." For a moment, the old apathy washed over him. Why bother? But then he looked at the princess. She wasn't looking at her mother or the stoic guards. She was looking at him, a silent plea in her silver eyes. A plea for a protector. For the first time in years, Jax felt something other than the gnawing emptiness. A flicker of purpose. A reason to be more than just a ghost. "I'm a deserter. A wanted man by the Terran Republic," he countered, testing her. "Why me?" "Because the man who takes 8 fatal wounds for a stranger is more trustworthy than any soldier bound by mere duty," she replied without hesitation. "As for your status, the Azurian ascendancy has a long memory. We know what really happened on Cygnus X1. We know your squad was sacrificed. Work for me, protect my daughter, and I will see your name and the names of your entire squad officially exonerated." The offer struck him like a physical blow. A chance to restore the honor of his dead comrades. A chance to silence the ghosts. He looked from the lady to the princess. He had run from his own war for years. Maybe it was time to fight in someone else's. "I have one condition," Jax said, his voice finding its old strength. "I do it my way." Lady Kaelin's smile returned, wider this time, a flash of genuine warmth in her golden eyes. "I would expect nothing less." But as Jax stepped aside to let them in, a piercing, high-priority alarm blared from a datapad on Lady Kaelin's wrist. Her face went rigid, her regal composure shattering for a single, terrifying second as she read the display. "What is it?" Jax demanded, his hand already on his pistol. She looked up at him, her voice a low, chilling whisper filled with a new kind of dread. "It's Vorlag. He's not sending hunters. He's here. His warship, the Carrion, just breached the city's orbital defenses." Her eyes met his, reflecting the flashing red light of the alert. "He's not hunting you anymore, Sergeant. He's hunting us, and he just blockaded the entire sector. The trap wasn't coming. They were already in it." Jax looked at the elite guards, the powerful noble and the small princess. Then he looked at his own 2 hands. The hunt was on. A grim, familiar smile touched his lips. "Good," he said, the old predator finally awakening. "Let them come."